Hey guys and gals, it's Mr. V. Hey, we are on to our second video. I'm hoping this one works a little bit better. I know some of you had some issues with the first one, it loading. So I'm using a new video program called Screencastify. So I'm hoping this is going to work a little bit better. We will just see how it goes. Okay, so the second lesson today, guys, we are working on is whole number place value. And we've already talked about place value. So obviously we understand how whole number place value works. We start with the ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, and so on. And we've learned that every place value is 10 times greater than that previous place value. And that's kind of where we're going to start. So again, remember, you can pause me, stop me, start me, whatever the case may be. If the speed says 1.2, which it shouldn't because that was the old video, please keep me at a normal speed. But I think it should be okay this time. So we're just going to get this out real quick and we're just going to look at it. So if you need to pause me to go get yours or turn to your notebook page, please do that. Okay. So when you're ready, make sure to play me. So here we go. If you look, we're going to just stay in whole number place value for now. So you see ones, boom, ones right there. And you can see above it, how many ones does it take to make a 10? 10. How many tens to make 100? 100, and so on. We learned this yesterday and the day before about understanding every place value is 10 times greater. And if you started at that place value, every place value is 10 times smaller, which we said is dividing by 10. And actually, we even said, or it's 1/10 as small. If you remember, some of us were able to understand that. If the 1/10 bothers you, don't worry about it. Just understand that when you go down the place value chart, you're dividing by 10. When you go up the place value chart, you're multiplying by 10. Okay? So if I went up 3, so say I went up 3 place values. So I'm at the ones. I go up 10, 100, 1,000. And notice if you go up 3 times, that's 3 zeros. That was our last lesson with powers of 10 and exponents. Say I start at 10,000. Okay? Say I want to get to 100 times greater. Well, I need to move up 2 place values because 10 times. Oh, sorry about that. So I start here, 10 times, 100 times. So 100 times greater would be 1 million. And that's how this kind of works. Okay? Let's say I start at the thousands and I want to get just 100 times greater. Okay? So I know every jump, every movement is 10 times. So there's 10 times greater, 100 times greater. So then my answer would be 100,000. Say I want to get really big and I want to start at the tens place and I want to get 1,000, let's say 10,000 times greater. So remember the 10,000 has how many zeros on it? It's look at it right here. Has 4 zeros. So that means I'm going to make 4 jumps or 4 movements. Every movement you make is 10 times greater. And when you make that movement, it's like, remember, add, there's our air quotes. It's like adding a 0 onto the whole number. Remember, that only works with whole numbers. Nothing you need to write down yet. This is just me kind of talking out loud, reviewing what we've already talked about. So let's say I want to go 10 times greater, and I'm at the tens place. So let's do 10 times greater together. So follow along with me. We have 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times, 10,000 times. So look where I ended up. I'm in the 10,000s, or I'm at the 100,000s place because I was at the tens. So I got 10,000 times greater. So 10,000 times greater than the tens is the 100,000s. Okay, let's do one more. Let's go huge. Let's stay at the hundreds, and let's see how many times it takes me to get to the very end. Ready? So I'm at the hundreds. So how many hundreds are there in? Let me see. I can't even read that number. How many hundreds are there in? Let's see. That's 1 billion. Okay, so ready? 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, million, 10 million. So there's 10 million hundreds in a billion. There's 10 million hundreds. So if you think like $100 bills, you would have 10 million $100 bills, and that would be $1 billion. Okay? So that's how the place value system works. Works the same way. If I went backwards and I would say, okay, that's 10 times less, or dividing by 10. And you notice, look at the zeros. As I go up, I'm adding a 0 each time. As I go down, I'm taking away a 0 each time. And if I skip, so say I skip 3 of them. Ready? So here's the 100. Say I skip 3 place values. 1, 2, 3. Now count how many zeros there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, There were only 2 here. How many zeros did I add? 3. So every time you go up a place value, you're adding a 0. If you skip a place value, you're adding 2 zeros, and so on. So that's kind of what we need to know and understand place value. Okay, so we're going to do a small little place value chart right now. So we're going to title it place value. In fact, I need to put whole number because that's all we're working with right now is whole number place value. Okay, that's all we're dealing with right now is whole number place value. Okay, so if we're going to go this way. So we're going to have the ones, the tens, the hundreds. Okay, this is called the ones group. This is the ones group. Okay, it has the ones, the tens, and the hundreds. The next group, and we separate it by a comma, we have the thousands, the 10,000s, and the 100,000s. And again, this should all be pretty much review. You guys should know your place values for the most part. This is what they call the thousands group, and I'm going to abbreviate. Okay. And again, we have our place value chart right here. Notice it doesn't have the group names on it, but it does have the place value. So you can look off there too if you need. So I'm just abbreviating. So then the next group we have is the millions group. The millions group. So we have millions, 10 million, and 100 million. Okay, and remember, we're always separated. Those groups are separated with commas. Okay, so that's kind of how the place value system works. So if I was going to put a number in here and just say I throw a random number, 3609245. Okay, how would I read that number? Okay, how we read the number is actually basically how we would do it in word form. So if you can read it, you can write it. You're going to hear me say that a lot. If you can read it, you can write it. So let's read this number. The way you basically read numbers is you're going to start at the highest place value, and you're going to start at the highest. So we're at the millions. Every time there's a group, you're going to read that number. Okay, and I always tell kids, read it as you see it. Okay, so cover everything else up. What do you see? I see a 3. 3 million. Cover the next group. 609,245. So that's how you read big numbers. Okay, make sure you know where it's at. This is 3, and I would then read the group name. 3,609,245. Okay, so if I was going to read another big number, and I'll just put it right under here. So 4700681. Okay, and I'm going to add my commas in. Add my commas where the group splits off. So again, now cover everything up. You cover up except the farthest group. And we're in the millions again. So read that number. What number do you see there? You should see the number 47. Okay, it's not 47. It's technically 47 million. Okay, now read the next 3 numbers. 006. Well, how would you say that number? You just say 6. You don't say 006. You just say 6. So here we go. 47,006,821. You always read the numbers a group at a time. Many people try to read it all in one big gulp, and it's hard to do. Let's do one more, and I'll start with here. 794,050. So again, read this one. What group am I at? I'm in the thousands group. Cover everything else up. What do I read first? Just read those 3 digits. 794. That's all you read. 794. But since you're in the thousands group, you say 794 thousands. And then what number is this? 50. You don't say and 50. You just say 50. 794,050. That's it. So that's how you read numbers. And if you can read numbers, you can write numbers. So basically what we just did there is we kind of learned how to write how we would write numbers in word form. So we're going to talk about 3 different ways to write numbers. Okay. One we basically did. One is standard form. Standard form is kind of your normal way to write numbers, just your ordinary average way to write numbers. So here's an example, and I'm going to use what the book does. 1, 4, 4, 0, 0, 0, 0. So let's learn how to read this. So again, cover everything up, get the first group, and again, there's your ones group, thousands group, millions group. So I'm starting in the millions. Say 1,440,000, and that's all you would say. That's how you write a number in standard form. Okay? Now, to get it to another form is where it gets tricky, and I will teach you some tricks for that. The next form is called expanded form. An expanded form, we're going to basically, this is how it works. Digit times place value. That's kind of a trick to remember how to do it. Digit times place value. Okay? So if we did digit times place value, we're going to use this same number. So look at the first digit. What's the digit? It's a 1 times what place value is he in? He's in the millions, so I'm going to write 1 million. Okay? Then I'm going to put the plus sign, and some people like to put parentheses around it. You may do that. It's up to you. Some do, some don't. And you just go down every digit that's not a 0. So the next digit's a 4. 4 times, so digit was 4 times the place value of the 4 is in. What place value is the 4 in? If you're not sure, use your place value chart. Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s. So we would write 100,000s just like that. Plus, and I have my plus sign. I'm going to go down here. There's the next 4. So again, 4, that's my digit right there, times place value. Where's this 4 at? He's in the 10,000, so I just write the number 10,000. Okay? Everything else is zeros, so I could do that. I could put plus 0 times 1,000, 0 times 100, but that's kind of just extra stuff you don't have to do because all that equals 0. So that's exactly how you do it. That's how it would be standard form. Now, there's also another way with expanded form using exponents. So now we just learned this. Now we're going to use exponents. Now we're going to use this same thing. Okay? Same number right here. But instead of writing this whole number out, let's use exponents to make it easier. Okay? So same thing. Digit times place value. And I'll even abbreviate that time. So we're going to do the same thing. What's the first digit? It's a 1. What place value is he in? The millions. But instead of writing out all those zeros, I'm going to write 10 to the, and who remembers how to do this? What's our exponent? It's how many zeros there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's 10 to the 6th power. Plus, next digit is 4. 4 times 10 to the, how many zeros? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5th power. Plus, there's another 4. 4 times 10 to the, how many zeros? 4th power. And that's how you would do it in exponential form. So same thing as this. You're just kind of shortcutting and being able to do exponents instead of writing the entire number out. Okay? Kind of nice to do that. And then the last one is the number name, which is what your book calls it. I literally don't like that name. We call it word form. And again, you would read this number out loud, and I'll write it, but this is what you would do. 1 million, just say it out loud. 1 million. Read the next set. 440,000. 440,000. 400. Yeah, 440,000. There's nothing else to write because I don't have anything else, so that's how you would write that number. Read it as you see it. If you can say it out loud, you can write it down in word form. Okay, 1,440,000. Okay, so that's all the forms that we're going to learn, but basically we're going to have to learn how to get it from form to form, and that's the tricky part on how to do that. So we're going to do a couple of them from standard, and we want to get it to expanded. Okay, this one's actually not too bad. So we're going to start in standard form. This is kind of what we just did up here. And let's start with an example of 3,492. Okay, for expanded form, do exactly what we just did up here. Digit times place value. I'm going to write it again. Okay, digit times place value. That's all you're doing. Find the first digit. What's the first digit? The first digit is a 3 times, there's your times, place value. What place value is the 3 in? Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. He's in the thousands, so you can go 1 and make 3 zeros. Parentheses if you want. Plus, what's the next digit? 4. 4 times place value. What place value is he in? He's in the hundreds. Plus, next digit, 9. And you do this until all the digits are gone. Plus, and then the last one would be 2. 2 times 1. And that's how you get it from standard form to expanded form. Okay. Now, we could also do expanded form with exponents, but all that would be replacing this with 10 to the third, 10 to the second, 10 to the first, okay, and then 10 to the 0 if we wanted to. Okay. We'll do much more practice in class, so don't worry. The tricky one is when you have to get it from expanded to standard. This one can get tricky. Okay, so expanded to standard. So let's do an expanded form number. Let's go 400,000. And I'll do 2 different ways. Plus 3,000 plus 200 plus 20 plus 3. Okay, so this is one way to do standard form or expanded form, is to use this type of expanded form as well. You won't see this as much in 5th grade. This is probably more of a 4th grade thing. But let's just look at it just in case you see it. So how do we know? Mr. Veith uses something called the dash method. Okay, you have to look in the dash method. So we're going to say what this is, dash method. This is only a Mr. Veith thing. Over the years, he found it worked for his kids. Okay, look at the highest place value. So find the highest place value. There it is. Okay. Count all the digits. So how many digits does he have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what we're going to do is we're going to dash 6 digits. And I'll even put my comma in to help me. So that's how we're going to do this. Now, again, if you're already good at this, do you have to use the dash method? No. The dash method is to help you if putting big numbers back together is tricky. If you can do it rather well, great. But I'll tell you where kids go wrong. Okay? What kids like to do is this. They like to go, oh, that's easy. 4, 3, 2, 2, 3. But if you count, this guy has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and now your number only has 5. Why? Because in expanded form, you don't have to put the missing place values. Notice we went from 100,000s to thousands. There's no 10,000s here. In standard form, we need the 10,000s because we're using something called place value. Every number has to have, every place value has to have a number in it. Okay? So that's why this is wrong. So this is why I use the dash method. So look, count the digits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In my 6th dash, my first dash, however you want to say it, I have a 4. Okay? 1, 2, 3. Let's see. Count this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So my 4th one, I should have a 3. My 3rd one, I should have a 2. My 2nd one, a 2. And my 1st one, a 3. But notice there's an empty hole here. What goes in that empty hole? This is where the 0 goes. He acts as a placeholder because if he wasn't there, this would happen and your number would end up 10 times smaller because the number would smush together. So this is super important, and this happens a lot. Okay? So let's see what it looks like. Let's do another number. Let's do 3 times 1,000 plus 2 times 10 plus 5 times 1. So again, same thing. What do you look at? Look at the highest place value. How many digits are in there? You're in the thousands place just because this number is 1,000. So Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. Boom. You have the dashes. You're set up. You know how big your number should be. Now, I know there's a 3 in the thousands place because that says thousands. I know there's a 2 in the tens place. I know there's a 5 in the ones, which means there's a 0 in the hundreds. And again, if I'm going too fast, slow me down, rewind me, double check. Okay. What if I had 4 times 10 to the third power plus 2 times 10 to the first power plus, and we'll just do 6 times 10 to the 0, which just means the first power, or just means the ones place. So again, this tells you that there's 3 zeros, right? So that means ones are the ones, tens, hundreds. Okay? So that means there's a 4. Oh, I'm sorry. Boom. So that means there's 3 zeros. So you're in the thousands. So that'd be the thousands place. So there's a 4 here. You got to be careful with that. Just because there's a 3 doesn't mean 3 dashes. That means there's 3 zeros. So that would mean thousands. So be careful there. I almost just made that mistake going too fast. Okay, this means there's 10 to the first power, right? Oh, this is 10 to the first power, so that means there's 1 0 there. So that means there's a 2 here. And then there's no zeros here, which means this is the ones that goes here, which means there's a 0 that goes here because we didn't have a 10 to the second. Okay, so exponents can be a little trickier. You just have to be careful with that. Okay, so that's kind of what we're going to work on. We're going to do different styles in that. We're going to make sure we understand what numbers are where. So hopefully this makes sense. If not, don't worry about it. We'll have the whole class lesson as well. All right, guys, enjoy.